Hey everyone, so as promised, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a review of this 7.5 inch 5.56 upper from Radical Firearms. I've had it for a few months now, and I've got probably around 600 to 800 rounds through it, and I've been really satisfied with how it's performed, especially when considering the price. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over all the stuff that I've added to it, as well as the stuff that came with it, and then talk a little bit more specifics about the performance that I've actually had from it. Also, I'm going to give you a little bit of the details as far as the actual system that I'm running, as far as my buffer tube, buffer assembly, buffer spring, and all that, since I know that a lot of times people can have some issues with cycling on barrels as short as 7.5 inches. So I hope you find this video informative, and I appreciate you watching. Alright, so let's go ahead and dive deeper into the upper itself. So what I ordered it with was one of these nickel boron bolts. I'm not exactly sure who the manufacturer of this one is, but I've been really happy with this. The first thing I did when I got it, so I took it apart and I felt the extractor, because obviously the extractor is the weak point of a lot of AR-15 bolts. That's where a lot of the issues come into play. So it was the first thing I tested on this, was feeling how sturdy that extractor was. It does have a tiny bit of play, but it's a lot better than some of the other mil-spec bolts I've seen out there. As far as the extractor itself, it compares pretty well to my BCM bolt carrier group that I have. So all in all, I've been pretty satisfied with this bolt carrier group. As I said, I've had 600 to 800 rounds through it. This is my first nickel boron bolt. I really like how easy it is to clean. I mean, really, most of the cleaning when it comes to one of these is just wiping off the carbon, and it comes off like a dream. Now, this is actually an upgrade from the standard phosphate one that you get. I believe it was about an extra $100 in order to actually get a nickel boron bolt, as opposed to just a regular phosphate bolt. But in my opinion, it was worth it, especially since I wanted to try a nickel boron bolt. As you can see, it does have the properly staked gas key, and it doesn't have any lightning cuts or anything crazy like that. I mean, everything about it is standard, other than the fact that it is obviously nickel boron coated. But it's holding up really well. You know, I'm not having any issues with it whatsoever. I just love the natural lubricity of the nickel boron coating. Then I also ordered it with an upgrade to the ambidextrous Raptor charging handle. Again, pretty satisfied with how this is operating. I like having the option to do ambidextrous charging handles. Honestly, if I could do it again, I'd probably just keep it with the standard BCM Mod 4, the medium-sized BCM charging handle. I really like that one. To me, this one is a little bit too abrasive as far as these ridges go. It really digs into your skin, and it's not very pleasant to operate, whereas the BCM ones, in my opinion, have that fine balance between, you know, being able to grab onto it positively while not being a little too aggressive to the point where it's painful. Now, one issue I have had with this is where the actual locking tab comes down and meets the receiver. For whatever reason, if I don't let the bolt go home normally, if I'm riding it forward, whether that be for a press check or something like that, the bolt will not go all the way home, because this latch will not go around to its little spot on the upper receiver, which I'll show you here shortly. Actually, I'll just go ahead and show you right now. So you can see that little hole where that latch is supposed to go into. For whatever reason, it just catches right on the back lip of there and goes in. I know other people who have Raptor charging handles, and that's not an issue for them. So it seems to be something specific, at least to this upper. I don't know if it's just a matter that my buffer spring isn't strong enough to fully seat that back in, but you know, under normal operation, when I'm racking the charging handle like you're supposed to, then I have zero issues with this going back home. It's just if I don't cycle it all the way to the rear and I don't just let it go back forward. Obviously, just a tap of the forward assist usually seats it well enough. So, but just something to be aware of. I don't know if it's just exclusive to me or if you might have that issue as well, but just to make you guys aware that is something that I have experienced so far. Also, right now, while I'm thinking about it, just FYI, the lube that I use on this is the Slip 2000 EWL. If you've watched my videos in the past, you know that that's typically what I use. Still, my most disliked video is my video where I talk about that versus frog lube. So, a little fun fact. So feel free to go there, dislike that video if you want, but you know, it's my opinion. Anyway, as far as the other stuff that I've added to it, obviously this AFG2 doesn't come with it. The MBus Gen 2 backup sights are added on, as well as this little RSA QD sling mount. And then the last thing that I added was this little flash can. So normally it comes with a typical A2 style bird cage as flash suppressor. However, obviously given that this is only 7.5 inch barrel, it has a pretty concussive and pretty bright flash on it, so I wanted something to kind of mitigate that a little bit. So even though this looks like one of the Noveske pig brakes, this is basically just a knockoff made out of solid aluminum. I believe it's Royal Arms. I'll put a link to this in the description below. It's only like 30 bucks and it functions as well as I need it to. It really directs that muzzle blast forward, makes it a lot more pleasant for the shooter and especially the people around. And then the last thing also is these little things that fill in the 1913 rails. These are the little Surefire little grip panel adapter, whatever you want to call them. You know, they work fine enough. They're about the same price as all the other ones out there, so I figured I'd give theirs a try. It looks a little bit more dynamic than some of the other ones out there, so it's serviceable. And not only that, but the sections they come in are already perfect as far as length. I didn't have to adjust these at all for this length. So as far as the stuff that obviously came with it that's still attached, it does come with a forward assist, which is nice. You know, I've never ever had to use one for anything that I haven't manufactured myself as far as malfunctions go. And then it also does obviously come with a dust cover attached. And then it comes with this quad rail. Now this quad rail is attached with a couple of Torx screws in each corner. I found personally that when it was delivered to me, they weren't exactly the most secure. They definitely were not Loctited into place. So that was one of the first things I did, is I went through and I Loctited each of them into place. Made sure that they were torqued down appropriately, because there was a considerable amount of wobble that started happening just as I was playing with it before I even took it to the range. So obviously if you have a lot of wobble in your forend or in your rail, your front sight's not going to maintain zero and you're just going to have a bad time. So that was one of the first things I did. Ever since then I haven't had any issues with it. It seems to hold zero just fine, but just be aware of that. If you do get one, make sure that you Loctite all those screws into place. Now it does come off really easily, so if you wanted to replace it, you know, that is kind of nice. You don't have any crazy tools other than a Torx driver. However, you know, that's some tools that I already have on hand, so it was pretty convenient for me. So I'll go ahead and put this back together now. So the lower that I've had it attached to is a Spikes tactical lower, and actually, you know what? I'll go ahead and show you, demonstrate real quick what I mean. So normally the charging handle gets stuck in this position right here, and you have to physically push it forward in order to get that latch to engage into its little slot. Again, I don't know if this issue is specific to me. I know other people who have Raptor charging handles, like I said, that's not an issue for. So, but again, just to be aware of it. But anyway, like I was saying, so I have a Spikes tactical lower receiver that I have had it attached to. Now this is using a Palmetto State Armory lower parts kit, and then I just added some of the other stuff to it. But as far as the buffer spring and buffer and all that, it is a Palmetto State Armory you know, pistol buffer system, and it seems to be working just fine. I have also run it with the STT2 buffer from Spikes Tactical and an SBR lower that I was using, and it was functioning flawlessly. Now this thing will, currently the Form 1 is in progress, so this will be an SBR in the future, but until then I just have the brace on here, which makes shooting it from the cheek a lot more comfortable. But again, I've had zero issues with this lower working with this upper. Or this upper with any of the other lowers that I've put it on. So I've had great luck as far as reliability goes. You know, I've been really satisfied. As you can see, you know, obviously there's some wear on it, so you know, I have gotten out and used this, and with the company that I work for now, Defensive Firearms Instruction, we do have a carbine class coming up about halfway through next month, so I definitely plan on putting some Radical Firearms products through that class to see how they hold up, how they function, and just, you know, overall serviceability of them. But you know, if things continue the way they have been, I have no doubts that they'll make it just fine. Now I know obviously one of the things that people always want to know about when it comes to you know, AR uppers and especially when it comes to ones that are this short, you know, is accuracy. Obviously accuracy is a big concern. However, if accuracy is going to be your main concern, you probably shouldn't go with a 7.5 inch barrel. You know, I wanted this because it was going to be the smallest package I could possibly get. But that said, when it comes to accuracy, it's not great, to be completely honest with you. But for the price point with these things, you know, I didn't really expect it to be, you know, a tack driver at 100 yards. And honestly, the furthest I've shot this out is 50 yards. And as far as how my groups are at 50 yards, I typically have gotten anywhere between, you know, 3 to 4 inch groups. So, you know, double that for 100. So, you know, theoretically 6 to 8 MOA, somewhere in there. But for what I foresee using this pistol for, you know, it's going to be 50 yards and in. So it's more than serviceable at that distance. You know, obviously it could be better, but, you know, I got this thing for $250, plus the added price for the charging handle and the nickel boron bolt. So at that price, you really can't ask for much more than that. Now, the company I work for, our founder, Donovan, he has a complete Radical Firearms 7.5 inch AR pistol that he's been using. He's had zero issues with that as well. I don't know exactly what his round count is. However, given that we have, you know, his one full example and then my upper, we do plan on doing some videos with them in the future, especially in relation to the classes that we run. So when that does start happening, I'll put a link or, you know, an annotation to that video somewhere over here, just because I think it's important to know how this is performing in the long run as well. But at least through my first 500 rounds, this has been really, really impressive, and most of all, just really fun to shoot. So if you guys are looking for a really inexpensive but quality AR upper, or, you know, complete AR, I would definitely check out Radical Firearms. I'll put their information in the description below, but they are making some pretty nice firearms at a really reasonable price, and they make everything from 5.56 to 300 blackout, even all the way up to 458 SOCOM. So there's pretty much nothing in the AR world that they aren't making, and I believe that they're going to be getting into 308 here pretty soon. So if you're interested in getting an AR-10 style rifle, you know, you can just check them out, and I'm sure they're going to be just as budget friendly as this has been. Now, Radical Firearms is pretty new to the firearms industry as far as I can tell, but that said, I've been very satisfied with what I've seen so far. So I'll definitely try to keep you guys up to date, and again, you know, when it's there, check out that video that I'm going to be doing with defensive firearms instruction, as far as, you know, more examples of Radical Firearms stuff and how they're performing through our actual classes, and as well as getting some nice footage of these things in action. You know, we're going to have some pretty nice cameras to attach to the rails and all that, so we should get some pretty nice footage of these shooting if you're interested in that. So please check that out. But I appreciate you watching. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and throw those below. I'll try to get back to you as fast as I can. But I hope you got something out of this, and again, I really appreciate you watching.